Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Western Herald Headlined. I am your host as of this point, Aidan Ralko, multimedia editor for Western Herald, and today I'm joined by
Austin, photographer for Western Herald,
and Jack Mennicke, the sports editor at Western Herald.
Look at that. We got a wide array of people here today for the show, and that's awesome. We're going to talk about a lot of different things because there's a lot of different avenues that we all go down and some of our expertise, so it should be good. But how's your guys' past week been? I know we came back from break not too long ago. You know, we're in a weird lull between midterms and finals, so how have things been for you guys?
I think I'm still trying to shake off like the spring break lull. It's like, why is everything taking me 12 hours?
Yep, for sure.
It's going pretty good. I had an exam on Wednesday that I thought I failed, but I still made the class. So
wow,
we're gonna take a weekend there.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big win.
Yeah.
But to start, I would like to talk about, we have Austin here who does a little bit of Western Herald and WIDR, a nice little mix there. Both Western Herald and WIDR are a part of the student media group here at Western. They offer different things, but similar umbrella. Where students can come and create media, take part in media. So, Austin, what has it been like? First, your experience with WIDR. What has that been like?
Well, my experience with WIDR is much bigger. I've been doing that since freshman year, which my freshman year is like that year right after COVID.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of like, we're just going to record something in my dorm to my roommate's annoyance and send it. And then I've been in the studio after that year. So I've done projects like major production projects with WIDR. I have done 2 shows. My current one is 8-Bit Hour, the afternoon talk show for all things nerdy and pop culture, with some co-hosts. I don't know. WIDR's just been like a great time.
Yeah,
you know?
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then if you could talk a little bit about your more recent experience with Western Herald.
Western Herald, I've been doing at the beginning of this year because I impulsively bought a camera and
there you go.
Then had to validate it. And I was like, I like Herald.
Yeah.
It's the twin to WIDR, so I should go over there. Photography's been fun. I show up to events I already planned on going to, and I take photos. And then Livy makes those photos look nice. And then I now collect a bunch of Western Herald papers like
there you go.
Like an old man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what is, if you could outline some of the ways that WIDR and Western Herald are different in your experience in terms of, well, obviously what you get to do, but also some things that you learn along the way.
All right. Let's see. With WIDR, obviously it's all like audio tech stuff. These cameras, these mics. I mean, heck, we're in the WIDR studio right now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that. And then Herald's way more like, not technical, but it feels more like soft skills.
Yeah.
Compared to WIDR's like hard technical skills. Also, like the environment's different. But there are also 2 environments that I feel like you would have at any career. So it's like WIDR I always pitch is like, hey, look, if you don't want to like have the club that's going to make you put like 20 hours a weekend, join WIDR. Because literally some of my co-hosts just kind of show up for the 2-hour show. Yeah. And most shows aren't even 2 hours long. We're just extra because we like to talk. So it's like, hey, look, an hour a week is something everybody has. Is kind of how I always bribe and convince people to check out WIDR.
There you go.
And obviously you can put more in. Whereas Herald, it's like we got weekly meetings. We have assignments outside of really like wild hours. Like I've had to go to Bronson on Saturdays, Bronson Park on Saturdays. I've had to come to campus from like anywhere from like 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Yeah,
that sort of stuff. And it's like it's like journalism.
Yeah,
it's like actually it sounds dumb, but no. Working at WIDR working at Herald more or less feels like the Daily Planet to a degree. It's like, oh, I actually have to go do things, and like,
that's awesome.
There's assignments, and we have to go be like proactive and stuff.
Yeah.
So being a part of it's just like learning the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's sweet. I think that's honestly something that I wish more SMG student media group people, myself included, did more in general, because I do feel like they offer pretty similar, but like you were saying, harder technical skills and some of the different like work lifestyle skills. Like you can learn a lot of different stuff from both groups. So I do think that's something.
It makes you feel better. I can't run nearly anything in this room. So like, you know.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I was gonna say, yeah, I agree with that, Aidan. I feel like getting involved in WIDR would have been something that would have been good for me and a lot of other people at Herald. And I feel like whenever we get a chance to be on the radio and do WIDR collab stuff, we always have fun. Like me and Aidan have our noon 30 news break every Thursday. We get to talk about the news for like 5 minutes, but I feel like we make the most of our 5 minutes every time.
We do.
And
gets a little longer than 5 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, we're supposed to keep it under 3, and we sometimes hit the 8 mark. But we've also done like live shows to what are we
for fundraising and stuff. Yeah. We have another one of those coming up. Actually, if you're watching this on the Monday that this podcast has come out, it would be tomorrow. We'll be live on air for College Media Madness. But those are always a fun time as well.
And it feels like just like us as a group, I feel like we do pretty well. I mean, I don't really have much to compare to, but I feel like we do pretty well just rambling on, podcasting.
If it makes you guys feel better, I have a 2-hour show with 2 other co-hosts, and sometimes it feels like we need an extra hour. So like, it just comes with the gig.
Yeah, for sure.
That's something that I feel like we all could have benefited from. Being a part of WIDR and doing stuff like that, get our creative minds flowing.
For sure.
I feel like we all are talkative people. So
definitely helped me joining WIDR first, then Herald, because like WIDR has made me such like a people's person.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like freshman year me did not know how to talk to people. Me now, you might be lucky if I stop talking.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's a good skill as well.
I have a question. Did you have any radio experience before college, or did you know you wanted to do radio stuff before you came to college?
Actually, I had a decent amount of radio experience before college. My high school, like I'm from rural Indiana, but we do have like very nice lakes, so we get a bunch of Chicago people. So my school has like some very nice side things. So instead of gym class, I took manning the high school radio station.
Oh wow,
that was like an actual radio station. And then the summer between college and high school, I took like a initiative career class my senior year, which is actually how I found Western. Thank God.
Wow.
My other college I was looking at was like horrible. It was like Western was like this utopia. The other option was like, I feel like going to college in like a Gotham might have been nice. But I worked at the local town radio station from like the town over. So, I didn't do much there. I kind of just showed up.
That's still a good experience though.
Yeah, I watched and talked to a dude who like did like the very stereotypical DJ trick of like, oh, he wanted to be a club DJ, so he did that for 5 years and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I had a decent amount, but really WIDR, just because of how like the high school was and how the gig was. WIDR's like when I went from like, oh, I know how to press buttons to like I run a show. I run a 2-hour show now. Yeah. That like that ends the year with like an award show. Yeah. That's like a not insignificant production in time. Like WIDR's really where I learned like
That's sweet.
My stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you kind of found that opportunity through something that is not like given to you from a class, like that's an extracurricular that you had to kind of go out there and get yourself. But speaking of WIDR and Western Herald, this is kind of the awards season right now, and as of when we're filming this, yesterday was the Michigan Student Broadcaster Awards, and WIDR and Western Herald got some nominations and won some stuff there, and that was awesome. WIDR won, I believe, they got second place in use of social media for both audio and visual in the college categories, and then they also got, I can't remember if it was second place or honorable mention for the promotional track that they had nominated. So that was awesome. And then Western Herald walked away with the honorable mention in current events story. And that video was produced by Nick, who's behind the cameras right now. So round of applause to Nick. And then we got first place in the public service announcement category for college visual for the drunk driving PSA that we made back in December, kind of as a partnership with Bronco Studios, the AV club here on campus. So that was awesome. It's great to kind of see people get recognized in that way for the work that they're doing, and it's rewarding as well. So that was exciting, and we got to go to the the conference that was there in Lansing, and be around all the other schools. I didn't know that Hillsdale College has such a great radio program. I guess they walked away with Station of the Year for audio at the Michigan Student Broadcaster Awards. But similarly, WIDR.
I was gonna say,
yes,
no disrespect to them.
WIDR at the International Broadcasting System Awards, the IBS Awards. They walked away with, was it Best Station in the Nation?
Best Station in the Nation, Best College Station.
Yeah.
Flat out, or vice versa. But basically, we won Best Station twice, so like
that's sweet.
I'm
there
sure they're great over there at Hillsdale.
There you go, and that was over in New York. I know some WIDR people got to go to that.
Went over there.
Yeah, so that's sweet. That's awesome. And that's an international level as well.
They actually, they got invited to host a couple of panels on social media and like marketing and stuff. That was done by like Katie, Joe, and a couple other people.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, once again, it kind of goes to show the work that we're doing here, and it is rewarding to see people get recognized like that. So if you're interested in creating potentially award-winning work, come and join either of the groups under the student media group, WIDR or Western Herald. Yeah, do both.
It's
honestly.
not that hard, honestly.
Yeah. So there you go. But now, because we are a news review show, we're going to talk about a little bit of news and stuff. So we're going to get into that real quick. We had a video go out, it would be the previous week from when you're watching this, about an event that was held through the Center for the Study of Ethics, the Kalamazoo Lyceum, and the WMU chapter of the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute. They came together to they've been putting on a series of events centered around a community goal to kind of celebrate a life well lived and lives well lived. So they partnered together to create events through the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, and there was a class last semester where a group of students got to create some little documentaries about a life well lived. And so the culmination event was about a week or two ago, and Jacob, one of our staff journalists, videographers, went to that and got to speak to the guest speaker, Sky Bergman, who is an award-winning documentary filmmaker. She created the documentary Lives Well Lived, which was the inspiration for this project put on by these groups. And yeah, so she came to WMU, gave a talk about her experience creating that documentary, and shared some pieces on what WMU was doing and how to continue an intergenerational dialogue, because that is kind of the core of what the project was, connecting voices from different ages and things like that. So yeah, it was very cool. And if you want to learn more about that, go check out the video that Jacob made. It's on our website and YouTube right now. But I wanted to ask you guys, have you heard about that documentary at all? I know it's on PBS, but
well, that's where the best ones are.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I actually got to go to that event because I was a part of the class that created some of the smaller documentaries. Nice. So I got to speak with Sky about just some general filmmaking stuff, sort of learn her experience making her documentary and sharing a little bit of my own. And so that was awesome, and got to be there for her talk about her experience and what's next and more of the projects that she's doing, because she's also a professor in California, so she continues to work and create new ways that she can connect older people with younger people through similar projects. But I wanted to ask you guys kind of your thoughts on sort of that intergenerational dialogue and how maybe we could be doing more, or what do you guys think about that?
I don't know. Overall, the event's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I love to see it, especially since like I am such firmly like a child of the internet. Like,
yeah,
been on Tumblr since I was 12. My YouTube addiction started when I was 8.
Yeah.
So like getting to see like what was very casually cultures brushing aside each other, like in internet space, now that that's like such a thing that happens so consistently to like events where it's like, this is the focus. We are going to merge these two cultures that like, brush together here and there, or like maybe just don't even fully connect with each other.
Yeah.
Like my job over the summer is like working with a bunch of like, I think the youngest dude there is like 30. You know, like very much millennial, Gen X. Yeah. And like, I don't get, so like seeing, participating in like just that like very blue collar work culture, it was like such a great moment for me. And it's like, it's great to see that like we're kind of encouraging being able to take like what best of each generation has been able to do. Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned it, but our generation I feel like is so like just online always, and we just we don't really know anything but being online and following trends that come up. So I think that that's really important to make sure that we don't get blinded by certain trends or certain media outlooks and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that was also similarly part of the conversation was creating the connection between different generations to preserve stories or even recipes, stuff like that you wouldn't get if you're not like personally connected and actually having real in-person conversations and stuff like that. So yeah, it was very interesting, and it's an interesting question to ponder what a life well lived means and stuff like that. So
pretty important question too.
Yeah, it is. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more, go watch that video for sure.
Yes.
But once again, I love saying this. At Western Herald, we don't just cover the news, we also cover sports. And Jack is our sports guy.
That is what we do.
We're about to go full swing into the spring season. It's coming here.
Yes.
So
I was going to say, before we get into the spring sports, I want to mention hockey.
Yes.
They are in the Frozen Face-Off. They, after beating St. Cloud State, they swept St. Cloud State last weekend. But yeah, so they're in the Frozen Face-Off for the NCHC. They will be playing, North Dakota.
Okay.
In the Frozen Face-Off in the semifinal. Yeah. And then move on to the championship if they win that game. So that game is tonight. Well, I guess not tonight. It'll be a Saturday or Friday for those listening. So you already know what happened. Hopefully, when you're listening to this, the Broncos are NCHC champs.
They should be. Let's be real.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the number one seed. I think that this year every time I've been on this show, we've mentioned how good they've been and how surprising their success has been. Maybe not surprising, but just kind of unexpected. I guess that's kind of the same thing. But it's just for how young we are this season, nobody really put us in that top spot. But they found a way to make it happen, and they're looking for NCHC champs. But yeah, so hockey. That's kind of closing out the winter sports.
Yeah.
Women's gymnastics will also be in the MAC championship.
Oh, there you go.
That's on Saturday. So again, you'll already know the outcome by the time this
Hopefully
comes
it's good.
Hopefully all Bronco teams win and you guys can be happy with what I'm talking about. But yeah, moving on to spring sports, a little bit less success in that area, I would say.
A little bit of a rough start.
Baseball and softball started their seasons not too long ago. But baseball is currently 2-16 on the season.
It's rough.
They've only played
it's a rough start.
They've only played 3 home games, so that could also factor in.
Yeah.
I think just being away from your home for as long as they have been is definitely a big factor. But they just beat Michigan, who's 11-9, so it's not like Michigan's a bad team.
No.
So their second win of the season was against Michigan. Dylan Navarre really shined in that game. He had 4 RBIs in that game.
Wow.
Including a homer in the 9th inning to put the Broncos up 6-0 and seal the deal. And I think that's really a tell of how this season's going. Dylan Navarre is a returning player and has been successful in this team in the past. And on that point, they've lost a lot of good talent this year. So I think that's why they're struggling a bit. They lost Cade Sullivan, C.J. Richmond, Brady Miller.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of guys going, a lot of productive guys going. So I think that's kind of why they're at their point there right now. They don't have a lot of. Brady Miller was their star pitcher last year.
Yeah.
They don't really have anyone that filled his shoes this year. And
that'll hurt.
The power that C.J. Richmond brought and Kate Sullivan as well. I think they had the first and second most home runs in the MAC last year. So I could be wrong about that. I know it's close to that, but just point is they had a lot of power and they brought a lot of runs in for the Broncos. And this year we're just not seeing that same production. But softball's doing a little bit better. They're 8-19. A little bit similar story to the baseball team. They lost their star pitcher from last year, so kind of tough when you lose someone that's produced at such a high value. But yeah, I mean that's kind of how the spring sports are going. Yeah. So I think that now that both teams can be home, because I know for those of you who don't know, I mean obviously most people listening to this live here. You know it's cold during the start of this season, so it's like impossible to play home games. So they have to be on the road for their first 16 games. Yeah. But now it's warming up, they get to come back home, play some home games, hopefully get some momentum going, turn things around in the season. But we'll see. Like I said, a lot of star power is gone for both teams. So yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting at for Broncos sports. Yeah. Winter sports closing with a bang. Spring sports, hopefully catching some momentum.
Okay, all right. And Austin, as a photographer, kind of you've been doing a little bit of both. You've done some sports and then a lot of event photography. Kind of, what is the difference there between the two?
Okay, so I've done mainly gymnastics and hockey. For sports, which are like probably very different from how you do baseball and probably realistically even football. Yeah. Because it's all for especially hockey, it's like we want the shot of, the puck going, or like the shot of the puck going in. Yeah. You want the two guys running into a wall. You could like the very stereotypical stuff. With gymnastics, it's like, I'm being real, I still haven't figured that one out. I try. Look,
that's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
it's gymnastics. It's all very cool.
Just when they're in the middle doing something cool.
Making it seem cool just via photo, though,
right?
Very hard. And I was not up to snuff for that one. But yeah, no. It's very it's a lot of I don't want to say it's harder, but it is like a more like there's more of a thought process for sports photography, right? Because like if I take a photo here, I might miss something here because photos gotta load and stuff. Whereas event photography, it's like it's very nice. Like
slower pace for sure.
The biggest event I went to was the Women's March that happened a couple months ago. And like that was the biggest event, but also it's like, hey, I just gotta like take a bunch of photos of these people like doing it, like having their like kind of moment. Or like for some of the events, it's literally just like the most candid, generic like mom at a family reunion type photos. Like it's very if sports are like the action shots, then events I feel like, or at least the events I've been to, have been very much like the cozy, like comfort kind of style compared to that.
Yeah. I think that's a good comparison.
Not to diminish either of them, but
I think that's a good comparison. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any experience in photography, but I feel like you nailed it pretty well there. I mean, I feel like for sports in particular, it's all about the moment itself, and you got like and the moment only lasts.
Moment goes quick.
5 seconds max. You have 5 seconds to capture that moment, and for like events. Nothing against events, but it's kind of more still shots.
Moment lasts a lot longer.
Right.
Yeah. Because
it's kind of just someone's up, like if you're at
someone's doing the event. You know?
I'm doing an art gala. It's not going to move.
Yeah,
I can take my time.
Exactly.
I'm doing an art gala today. Yeah. Whereas gymnastics, I was like, I need to be running constantly because there's like 7 events going on.
Yeah.
Same time.
Didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about that either.
Gymnastics was.
They do them all at once.
Gymnastics was my my difficulty check for sure.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, I think that will just about do it for this episode of Western Herald Headlined. If you want to check out some of the stuff we've been talking about, go over to westernherald.com and follow us on our socials to stay up to date. Pretty much Western Herald wherever you look. I'm Aidan Ralko, multimedia editor for Western Herald.
I'm Austin, photographer for Western Herald.
And I'm Jack Mennicke, sports editor for Western Herald.
And thank you for watching.